One of the fastest growing trends in fitness is women lifting weights. It's exploding, and this is a good thing. We've been talking about the benefits of strength training for women for 10 years.
Forever.
Today's episode, we're going to separate fact from fiction. What does lifting weights do for women? Is it better than other forms of exercise? Should everybody lift weights? Let's go. All supports this. And so what I want to do is I want to sell strength training for women. I want to really sell it. I want to really talk about the real benefits and what makes it unique, because exercising in general is good for you, right? Movement in general is good for you, regardless of the style of movement, whether it's dancing, running, swimming, biking, Pilates, yoga, strength training. Like, if it improves your health, you're going to see benefits. You're going to probably look better, right? But what are the unique benefits of strength training versus other forms of exercise? So these are the ones that are supported by some data or a lot of data, but definitely by our experience training lots of clients, and also training lots of trainers who train clients. Remember, we've been doing this for over 2 decades. So here's the first point. I think this is a good point to start with, which is strength training really does promote a better hormone profile in a more effective way than other forms of exercise. Okay, so anytime you improve your health, and if exercise is a part of that formula, you're going to see an improvement in your hormone profile. But strength training is unique in that it encourages a youthful hormone profile because of the signal that strength training promotes. Strength training sends forth a signal that is pro-tissue. So one of the primary signals that strength training sends, right? So all exercise sends a signal to the body that says, do more of this, more stamina, more flexibility, more strength, whatever. The primary signal of strength training is build muscle and get stronger. And in order to build muscle is active. It's this tissue on your body. It's very active. It's insulin sensitive. In order to do that, your body has to organize its hormones in a way to do that. So if you were to look at an ideal muscle building hormone profile, what you would see is a youthful hormone profile. You'd see great insulin sensitivity, which, by the way, the most effective way to improve insulin sensitivity is to simply get stronger and build muscle. Muscle is very insulin sensitive. It's a storage vessel for glycogen, which is what comes from carbohydrate consumption or sugar consumption. So when you have more places to store it, you're not gonna respond to it in the same way. You're gonna have better blood sugar levels. So you're more insulin sensitive. You get growth hormone levels that tend to rise. That's what happens when you start to build muscle. As you build muscle, you get more androgen receptors. Okay, that's called androgen receptor density. So these are the locks that the key of testosterone attaches to activate. And regardless of what your testosterone levels are, if I were to give an example, if I were to double your androgen receptor density or double the amount of androgen receptors that you have, even with the same testosterone, you've now doubled the effectiveness of your testosterone, okay? Because it has twice as many places to dock into.
Utilize more of it.
And now, is that important for women? It's just as important for women as it is for men. There's a myth that testosterone is a male hormone. It's not. It's a human hormone. We just have different ratios, but testosterone is just as important for women as it is for men, and women have the same symptoms that men get when their testosterone is low. So they'll have low libido, more fat mass, less muscle, less energy, less drive, more anxiety, more depression when their testosterone is low. So building muscle increases the effectiveness of your testosterone, and you also get this balancing of estrogen and progesterone as those change throughout your monthly cycle. So strength training on its own is far more effective at promoting this youthful hormone profile that your body needs to build muscle, which is the signal that you send with strength training. Other forms of exercise simply don't do this as effectively. And you could talk to any hormone specialist, you talk to any functional medicine practitioner, when they're trying to balance out somebody's hormones, strength training, so long as it's appropriate, is what is typically recommended as a primary form of exercise.
Started to go that direction because I was already thinking of like the counter argument for somebody else that, like, let's say I'm hardcore into Pilates or I'm a big runner, and basically anything that makes you healthier than what you were before you're doing is going to improve the hormone profile.
That's right.
So how would you convince someone like me who, let's say, is a hardcore Pilates person who's already seen the improvement in my hormone profile from doing Pilates, and I believe why should I go switch over to strength training? Like, what is your argument for why that's better?
A better hormone profile that is a result of being healthier is great. But strength training makes you healthier, so you get that effect. But it also directly tells the body to create a hormone profile that is pro-muscle building.
We need muscle.
Okay, so in other words, you're sending a straight direct signal. So your hormones don't improve as a byproduct of improved health alone. That happens. But you're also sending a specific signal direct to the hormones that say, we got to build muscle. We need a hormone profile that does that. And the hormone building profile that builds muscle is the youthful one that you had when you were in your late teens, early 20s. So for a youthful hormone profile, nothing beats strength training. It's just direct strength training. You need less of it to produce the result you're looking for than other forms of exercise. So to build endurance requires a lot of practice training endurance. To build strength, you don't need to do a lot. And so when it comes to stressing the body, which is I think what you're talking about, Justin, strength training tends to be less of a stress on the body because the dose tends to be less that's required. Now, you can overdo strength training, like you can overdo anything.
Right.
But appropriate strength training tends to stress the body less than appropriate levels of other
But if you're doing it right and you're actually moving forward, you have to have adequate rest.
Right.
So I want to stay here because I really want to drill this point home, because I really think that when we think back to all the clients that we train, and again, primarily female clients, the probably some of the most life-changing stories came from the clients that my female clients that I got to adopt strength training. And one of the reasons why it was so life-changing was because of what you're talking about right now. And a lot of times these are clients that did Pilates already, or did running already, or they were active. They weren't. I'm talking about somebody who I got that was obese, and then also I got them strength training, and I bounced. Right. I'm talking about people that were already active people. They were doing other forms of modality, and then I got them to strength train, and it radically changed.
Massive difference.
So and I know this is putting you on the spot to give me like a generic answer, but again trying to drill this point home, because I know I have listeners right now that have a modality of training that they love to do. They go to their class. They've been comfortable doing that for 10 years. It's like, oh, why do I want to switch over to this kind of training? So if you had to score on a scale of 1 being terrible, 10 being the best or awesome, as far as balancing the hormone profile, and we look at, I'd say, probably the top 5 forms of exercise: running, swimming, Pilates, yoga, and strength training.
Right.
Maybe top 5.
Yeah.
Somewhere on there.
Yep.
How would you score those and compare them?
So there's always an individual variance. It has to be applied appropriately.
Of course.
Okay, so I'll say how that first.
Yeah, let's pretend.
But if it's applied appropriately and properly for the individual, strength training is in a different universe. So you have hormone profiles improve because my health is better, and then you have the effect of I'm directly telling my hormones to become youthful because they need to build more muscle. It is above and beyond that. So if you talk to any female hormone specialist. You can talk to male hormone specialist, talk to any female hormone specialist. These are doctors that specialize in hormone therapy. So they actually put people on hormones. They put women on testosterone. They put women on thyroid, or they manage the hormones.
By the way, we just had one of the leading experts in menopause and perimenopause
on the podcast.
And one of the first things that she said is like
strength training. They will all tell you strength training.
Prescribed.
They will all tell you that's the primary form of exercise, and walking would be a really close one just for overall activity.
Yeah.
And in fact, what they'll also tell you when you talk to them is many times they tell these women to stop doing the crazy cardio, do the crazy circuits.
So maybe then you would score it like this. And again, correct me if I'm wrong here. Like all the other ones I named besides strength training would probably hover around somewhere of getting a 5 or a 6.
Yeah.
And then 10. Strength training's 10.
That's right.
It's like all those you could argue, swimming could be pretty good for health and home, because the other ones all can make you healthier, which then improves your hormone profile, but nothing directly impacts.
Let's talk about the main hormone, some of the big issues that women can suffer from, like PCOS, very strong connection between that and insulin resistance. Okay. Strength training, building muscle directly combats insulin resistance better than any other form of exercise. Look at thyroid. Build muscle, your thyroid becomes more effective. Thyroid issues are very common with women.
Very common, yeah.
And I'm not talking about all the other hormones. Cortisol, like you build some muscle, you get a natural you get a much a good profile of cortisol starts to develop because of the muscle building
Insulin,
process.
right?
And then I mentioned that. So so when it comes to hormone profile, in promoting a youthful hormone profile, by the way, this is anecdote, okay, but we see this in the gyms. You can talk to any gym owner, gym manager. You see the women in their 40s, 50s, and 60s that are good at strength training versus the ones 40s, 50s, 60s that do lots of group classes, lots of cardio. They look younger. The strength training women look younger because of this hormone profile situation.
Which I think leads to your second point.
Correct.
Which is going into the have better skin.
Have better skin.
And I'm assuming this is a big part of that. Like, because I think one of the number one things a dermatologist would tell somebody who is got really bad skin, a lot of times their hormone profile is all over the place. And they normally prescribe them things to try and control their hormones.
Also this, though. So here's the other thing. So there was a recent study that I brought it up on other episodes where they compared the effects of strength training to other forms of exercise to skin health, right? The collagen production, elasticity, right? The visible lines and wrinkles, all that stuff. Strength training was superior because it promoted the rebuilding or the building of the collagen matrices in the skin.
Fibers, yeah.
Okay. Now, why is that? Because by the way, in the study, all forms of exercise improve skin, right? So anytime you improve your health, your skin's going to look better. Okay. But strength training, it promotes something called muscle protein synthesis, or the building of tissue. All tissue is protein is the building block of all tissue, including your skin. So when you're lifting weights and you're sending this direct signal to your muscles to build, you're also sending this systemic signal to the rest of your body that says, build more everything. And so you see stronger bones and you see skin. Skin in the data, and again, we've seen this anecdotally, but
hair too.
Yes, the studies show that strength training promotes the building of skin, not just the health of it, but the building of skin. And so when it comes to skin, this is the best form of exercise. And again, we have the studies to support this.
You broke it.
No, and I want to be very clear. Like, I'm not trying to discourage somebody to stop doing their form of exercise that they love doing. But what I am trying to do is, and this is true for most people or most women that work out, they have a set amount of time that they work out, 3 days a week or 2 days a week or 4 days a week. They don't have all the time in the world. They're not going to do 15 different forms of exercise. And they're like, which one do I pick? Which one do I pick? Because they're all whatever. I enjoy them all, I guess. I just want the one that gives me the best results. And many women they move away from strength training because of the myths that surround it, or because they don't know that in comparison to other forms of exercise, they're probably going to get more of what they're looking for.
Right.
And this
by far, and to that point, Sal, this is how I always took a client like that. I would never tell my client, right, and I could never do this with these clients that love Pilates, love swimming, love running, one of those things. Okay, stop doing that. Let me show you and prove to you how. What I would do is just give me 1 day a week.
Yeah.
Give me 1 day a week of full body strength training. Let's keep doing your Pilates the other 2 days. Let's keep doing your running like you're saying. And let me show you what 1 day a week will already improve for somebody who's already been doing these things. That's always how I got them. Because then they would be like, oh shit, this 1 day a week I added. All I did was let go of 1 day of my running or 1 day of my swimming or 1 day of my Pilates, picked up 1 day of this strength training like this trainer told me. And I've already seen more improvement than I ever have. And then now they're bought in.
That's right. This next one is one of the things that I think now women are becoming more aware of, one of the components of strength training, which is it allows you to eat more and stay leaner because it builds the lean tissue that burns calories. Now, I know that there's some debate around this, but the evidence is clear with those of us who've coached and trained lots of people.
Yeah.
When I have women that I strength train with primarily, and I have them do what's called a reverse diet, where we slowly increase their calories, increase their protein to feed the muscle tissue, we see this dramatic change in their metabolism. It's common. It was common to have a female client be able to eat 500 more calories a day and be leaner. 500 more calories.
All day.
So that was common. Less common, but still I would see this, would be women who could eat 1,000 calories more a day and be able to keep up and be able to stay lean. And I'm talking about 2 days a week of strength training. We're not doing anything else. Yeah. And they were doing before tons of cardio every single day.
That was what was common too, is that not only were they able to eat more, but this is what sold Katrina.
Yeah.
Well, I've told the story before when we first met. I didn't tell her anything about how she was training. I allowed her to do her thing, and I know better than to come in and new boyfriend come in and start telling you how to lift or telling you how to eat. Even though I knew all this stuff that she was doing, I'm like, man, this used to be so much easier. Until she finally came to me, and the first thing we did, cut out all that running, reverse diet her, build muscle, let's get strong, long rest periods, so different than how she'd ever trained before. And you look a year later after that, she looks back and goes like, this is crazy. I'm eating more than I've ever ate before. I'm training less frequently as far as the time that I'm doing that. And I have the best body I've ever had at this point in my life. Like and then forever she was converted after that.
Yeah, muscle burns calories at rest. And that's not the full answer, by the way. There's some mystery as to how the metabolism gets so fast through the strength building process and through feeding that muscle. But it really is, it's a real effect, and it's dramatic, and it's awesome, meaning you do less work, you eat more, and you stay leaner. And I think that really resonates with a lot of women, especially women who've tried to lose weight.
That resonates with everybody, bro.
You know, cutting calories.
It's the only way you can be lean and have flexibility.
Who does that not sound good to?
Yeah, that's right.
Who does the idea of like you get to work out less, you get to eat more and stay in better shape? Who does that not sound good to?
That's right.
Everybody
That's
that
right.
sounds good.
Because otherwise you're cutting, you're getting to a certain point where you just add a little bit of, I'm just going to have a little bit on the weekend, and it's like, 500 extra calories. You feel that.
Yep.
You don't have that flexibility. It's a rough place.
Muscle is great for the flexibility to eat more food. Next up, you have better curves. I think this is another reason why women are starting to strength train. It started with the build a bigger butt or get a bigger butt, kind of trend. Mm-hmm. And then, women are like, well, how do I get a bigger butt? We're like, well, your butt's a muscle, so you got to build it. So they started training and strengthening, and they saw their butt get rounder. Then they saw their hamstrings get a little better curve, and they started doing upper body exercise, and my posture gets better. My arms look leaner. Everything looks better, even though maybe I'm at the same weight even. Mm-hmm. This is what's crazy about this. Muscle looks good on your body. It just does. Now, can you get too muscular? Yes. Is it likely you'll get too muscular? No, it's extremely unlikely. It's extremely, extremely, extremely unlikely that you're going to strength train and build too much muscle. Okay, that's just a fact, period, end of story. So every single woman listening to this right now, train like a bodybuilder as hard as you want, eat like a bodybuilder as much as you want. None of you are going to come to me and say, I built too much muscle. It doesn't happen. The women you see who look like this are so rare. It's more rare than a 7 foot tall person. It's extremely rare to have the kind of genetics that build that kind of muscle. And then many of those women are also on,
they're on
male levels of hormones. Okay. They're on testosterone or anabolic steroids. You're not going to build muscle. The women that look the way that most women want to look like on social media or whatever, these fitness women, they lift weights like bodybuilders. That's that's primarily, you could literally pick body parts. You could develop more, you could shape more. It's focused body sculpting. Other forms of exercise, you don't focus. You're running a lot, you're moving your legs a lot, you're swimming a lot, but strength training, I can say, I want more of this, more of that, I want less of this, so I'll focus less on that. And you can literally shape and sculpt your body and build the kind of body you want, the curves that you want. By the way, what I said a few minutes ago is totally reasonable and realistic. Okay. Most women, right, barring injury or mobility issue or some health issue, most women who go from not really strength training to proper, like real strength training, like you lift, weights, you rest, you do sets, you're trying to get stronger, right? Women who go from not lifting weights to properly lifting weights, it is reasonable to expect that you'll probably double your strength within a couple of years.
I would argue
double your strength.
I would argue way more.
I'm giving the most conservative. That's what I mean. I'm giving a very conservative answer here. Like, think about this right now. If you're listening, right now, you're whatever you're doing, you're sitting down, you're walking, whatever, you're listening to us talk. How do you think you would feel if you were twice as strong as you are now? And we would see it all the time, where all their lifts would go up double in weight. And I'm being very conservative.
And by the way,
I could triple someone's strength.
You feel what it's like to be 10% stronger.
Imagine twice as strong.
Yeah, you can feel like you get 10% stronger, any male or female. You feel that. You notice the difference. You're 10% stronger. You're double.
That's right.
It's life changing.
That's right. That's right. Next up, you sleep better. So again, this is backed by data. They've done studies comparing different forms of exercise to its effect or impact on sleep quality. By the way, women suffer from sleep disturbances more often than men do when you look at some of the data on this. It may be due to hormone fluctuations, there may be whatever, but women tend to suffer from sleep issues more than men do. So this is, I think, an important one. But when they compare strength training to other forms of exercise, strength training wins when it comes to which one improves sleep quality, the ability to fall asleep, the ability to stay asleep, like the different stages of sleep. Strength training is the best one. Now, again, to be fair, all forms of exercise improve your health, will make you sleep better. But if you want to pick the one that's the best, again, the data supports strength training.
Now, do you think that the reason why the strength training, because I would, the first case I would make is just our bodies were meant to move. We were meant to move. We were meant to do things throughout the day. We have very sedentary lifestyle. So any sort of form of activity is going to greatly improve your sleep. Now, would you say the whole thing back to the like hormonal cortisol,
it's the balancing of hormones,
and is what really makes the strength training trump everything else? Because like you said, I think exercise period daily makes a tremendous difference on all my clients' sleep. But then strength training did seem to surpass it even better. Is that because of cortisol and what's going on hormonally that would make you make that argument?
We're in speculation territory now because they don't know why it's better for sleep. So this is pure speculation. But I think it has to do with the hormone. I think it has to do with insulin sensitivity too. Improved insulin sensitivity tends to impact sleep positively, and strength training does it very well. I mean, listen, there are studies on obese individuals where they have them build muscle and lose no weight. Like I'm talking about really overweight people. All they have them do is build muscle. They don't lose a single pound of body
fat. All their health markers improve.
In particular, their insulin sensitivity. Yeah. So it's really, really effective for that. So that's speculating as to why. But again, the data shows it's the best for improving your sleep. And next up, it's great for reducing pain. Here's how good it is when applied properly for pain. The primary form of exercise that rehab specialists or physical therapists use when trying to help somebody with back pain, shoulder pain, hip pain, knee pain, ankle pain, whatever, the primary form of exercise they use is some form of strength training. Yeah. It is not cardio. It is not yoga. It is not.
It's because the majority is related to weakness.
That's right.
And the weakness is really causing the dysfunction, which is the pain signal that, there's something that's unsupported here. And therefore your body's job is really to limit furthering an injury. So you have these natural limiters. And so if we strength train, we build up that support system. We build up that support signal that feeds back. That's like, okay, this is accounted for and it's strong enough to now, go through these types of movements.
I feel like this is another one we really have to hammer home because I think it's one of the most important points. I remember when I realized this for myself, I always struggle with kind of low back pain and stuff like that. And it's very much so related to posture issues. My posture issues are related to weakness and to like my core hip stability and that. And so I would not think, even as a trainer, I didn't think this way early on, that, hey, my low back is bothering me. I need to get better at squatting. I need that. Yeah. That doesn't. People don't make that connection. They think that lifting weights is hard.
I got to do less.
Yeah, it's stressful. If I have bad knees, I have bad back, I have bad shoulders. Lifting weights that puts me at risk, and so that's not a good idea. When I'm so glad you said that, Justin, that most chronic pain that people deal with is result from weakness somewhere.
That's right.
And strength training is the best way to combat that. And can't stress that enough that I don't know how many clients that I helped that suffered from chronic pain. We got to the root cause of what it was, where the weakness lied that was causing the downstream effect of chronic pain somewhere else. Because that's normally what it looks like, by the way. Bad knees is not normally bad knees. It's normally weak hips or weak ankles, right? I have instability or lack of mobility in the ankles. I have instability or lack of mobility in the hips. Therefore, I feel the stress in my knees. Now, as a client, I perceive that as I have bad knees, I shouldn't squat. Yeah. And it's like, no. This is what's beautiful about strength training. You don't have bad knees. Like, I'm not talking about somebody who broke their knee or had something made. Like most people that have chronic knee pain don't have bad knees. They have poor mobility and strength in their ankles or their hips, and that is causing the stress in their knees. And the best thing that we can do is get strong mobile hips, strong mobile ankles. That results in good knees. And that is like crazy. And that is most people that I had to train.
Barring injury or some kind of autoimmune inflammatory disease, barring those two main things, strong joints, and why are they strong? They're supported by strong functional muscle, right?
Yep.
Joints don't move on their own. It's the muscle that moves the joints.
Keeps it tracking properly.
So strong muscles that support the knee, the ankle, the hip, the spine, the neck, the shoulders, the wrists, the fingers, right? All the muscles that control the movement in these joints. If those all are strong and functional, your joints are fine. They don't hurt. In other words, a strong body doesn't have pain. Now, injury, different. Chronic inflammatory disease of some, different. But most pain, a majority of pain comes from weakness at the root. It's dysfunction. So when you look at the way a joint moves, there's an optimal way it moves, and there are sub or less optimal ways that they move. The less optimal ways are a result of muscles that can't move the joints properly, either because of lack of strength or stability, or they're not working well together. And so that joint starts to tear down. You start to create pain. So strong bodies don't hurt. Again, this is why when you go to a physical therapist with pain and they realize, okay, there's no major injury here, or whatever, you got frozen shoulder, you have a little bit of inflammation, whatever, what they use is strength training. Correctional exercise is just a form of strength training, whether they use bands or body weight or isometrics, it's all strength training. So strength training is the best way to solve pain issues. By the way, regardless of what the kind of athlete you are, you could be an endurance athlete, you could be whatever athlete you are. When you have pain, the form of exercise you use to correct that pain or make it go away is strength training. That's how effective it is. And then finally, you look better. You look better because strength training changes your body composition. It's not about your weight. It's about your body composition. Okay. I'll use a male example, right? A 6 foot tall, 200-pound male at 10% body fat looks very different than a 6 foot tall, 200-pound male at 20% body. I mean, very different. 10% body fat, you got six-pack abs. 20% body fat, you look squishy. Same body weight. The same is true for a 130-pound woman at 30% body fat versus 20% body fat. They could be the same height, same weight. They look very, very different. So in other words, what's so awesome about this is your weight doesn't matter as much as your body composition, which is great if you're a slave to your scale, which I know a lot of women become slaves to. Yep. So in terms of changing how you look, it's the best form of exercise.
I mean, I can't tell you how many times too I had somebody come in who initially wanted to lose weight, and at the end of our programming, we were the same weight or higher, yet we were 10% body fat leaner. So, and many times you have to show somebody that before they realize that weight is so irrelevant. It's like, it doesn't even matter. I can take anybody, whatever their current weight is, and make them dramatically look better and never mess with the weight on the scale. In fact, if we do a really good job, we shouldn't see major swings on the scale for the most part. Obviously, if you're hundreds of pounds overweight, the scale is eventually going to come down, and it needs to come down. But for most people who think they just need to lose 20 to say even 40 pounds, most of the time, that person, I can take their exact weight, never move it, and completely radically change the look of their body by their body composition.
This episode is brought to you by